If you think she fantasizes about the guy with the best body you've already lost, because what keeps her awake at night isn't your abs. It's how you made her feel about herself when no one else was looking. I'm going to tell you something most men never understand. Women do not replay your muscles in their minds. They replay moments, they replay tone, they replay the exact sentence that made their stomach flip because it touched something deeper than attraction. It touched identity. As a psychologist, I've worked with women from 19 to 62 across the US, the UK, and Canada. Confident women, married women, single women, high achieving women. And when they describe the man they can't stop thinking about, it's never just he was hot. It's always he saw something in me. That is your leverage. The first compliment that creates obsession is this: I love how your mind works. Not you're smart, not you're intelligent. That's surface level, generic, disposable. But when you say calmly, directly, I love how your mind works, you're telling her something far more powerful. I notice your patterns. I see the way you process. I'm paying attention. Most women feel unseen intellectually, especially attractive women. They're praised for beauty, body, style, rarely for depth. When you acknowledge the architecture of her thoughts, how she connects ideas, how she explains things, how she challenges you, you separate yourself from every man who only comments on appearance. And here's the psychological trigger. When someone feels mentally appreciated, they want to demonstrate more of that trait. She'll think of new things to say, new ways to engage you. She'll replay the conversation in her head thinking, did he really mean that? That replay becomes fantasy. The second compliment that lingers long after the conversation ends is this: you have a calming energy. This one is dangerous in a good way. In today's world, women are overstimulated. Notifications, work pressure, social comparison, emotional labor. When you tell her she has a calming presence, you are assigning her a rare identity, peace, and people become addicted to the identity they feel safe in. If she believes she feels calm around you and you reinforce that, she begins associating you with emotional safety. That's not just attraction, that's attachment forming quietly beneath the surface. Notice something important. Neither of these compliments are about her body because desire that's purely physical burns fast. Desire tied to identity burns slow and deep. When a woman lies in bed at night, her mind drifts to the man who made her feel expanded, not evaluated. Here's what most men do wrong. They compliment to impress. They stack praise, hoping she'll validate them back. That smells like need. Instead, your delivery should feel observational, almost casual, like you're stating a fact. Eye contact, calm tone, slight smile, no rush. When a compliment feels like an insight instead of a tactic, it lands differently. And here's the truth most men don't want to hear. Women fantasize about emotional experiences more than physical features. The man who understood her, the man who noticed her nuance, the man who made her feel uniquely chosen. If you master how you speak to her identity, you won't compete with louder men. You won't compete with richer men. You won't compete with flashier men because you'll be competing on a psychological level, and most men never even enter that arena. You want her thinking about you at midnight. Stop trying to be impressive. Start being perceptive. There's a third compliment that almost no man uses correctly, and when it's delivered with precision, it doesn't just make her smile, it makes her imagine you. Here it is. You're different. And I don't mean that lightly. Pause after you say it. Let it breathe. Most women have heard you're different before. It's overused, watered down, meaningless. But when you slow it down and follow it with something specific, something only you noticed, it becomes intimate. Because different without context is flattery. Different with detail is recognition. You might say, you're different. The way you stay composed when everyone else is reacting, that's rare. Or you're different. You don't try to impress. That confidence is quiet. Now you've done something powerful. You've separated her from the crowd. Psychologically, human beings crave distinction. We want to feel singular, not replaceable. When you communicate that she stands apart, not just in looks but in character, you elevate her in your perception. And here's the secret: women fantasize about the man who sees them as rare, not the man who sees them as convenient. But this only works if it's true. Women are extremely sensitive to authenticity. If you're scanning for lines instead of genuinely observing her, she'll feel it. And once she feels manipulation, attraction collapses. Let me explain something deeper. Attraction for women is layered. There's physical attraction, yes, but beneath that sits emotional stimulation. Beneath that sits psychological intrigue. Psychological intrigue is what keeps her up at night. When you say you're different and you back it up with insight, you create curiosity in her mind. She starts wondering, what else does he see in me? What else has he noticed? Why does his opinion feel heavier than others? That weight is what makes your words echo later. Here's another dimension most men miss: timing. Do not front load these compliments in the first 5 minutes that feels desperate. Let tension build. Let conversation develop. Let her show you pieces of herself first. Then deliver the compliment after she's revealed. Something small but meaningful. A story about her family, a challenge at work, an opinion she doesn't share with everyone. When your compliment responds to vulnerability, it bonds. Now I'm going to challenge you. Many men compliment hoping to secure a reaction, a bigger smile, a touch on the arm, a flirtatious look. But the most powerful compliments are given without needing immediate return. That emotional self-control communicates high value. When you're not chasing validation, you become intriguing, and intrigue feeds fantasy. Think about the last time you couldn't stop thinking about someone. It wasn't because they overwhelmed you with attention, it was because they left space. They left questions unanswered. You want her to fantasize about you. Don't flood her. Give her depth, then distance. A meaningful compliment followed by composure. No overexting, no immediate neediness. Let her sit with how you made her feel. Silence, when paired with emotional impact, amplifies attraction because now she's filling in the blanks. And when a woman starts mentally filling in the blanks about you, imagination begins doing your work for you. That's when she pictures conversations that haven't happened yet, moments that haven't occurred yet, energy that hasn't been explored yet. This isn't manipulation. It's understanding human psychology. Women bond through meaning. Give her meaning. Give her recognition. Give her emotional contrast from every other man who just says, "You're beautiful." Be the man who notices her character and then has the confidence to step back and let her think. Now, I'm going to tell you the part most men are too impatient to hear. Compliments only create fantasy if your behavior matches the frame behind them. If you tell her she's different, but you react emotionally to every delayed text, the illusion collapses. If you tell her she has calming energy, but you're chaotic and insecure, the spell breaks. Attraction isn't built by words alone. It's built by emotional congruence. Here's the deeper psychological layer. When you compliment a woman in a way that touches her identity, she subconsciously asks one question: is he the kind of man whose opinion matters? That question determines everything. If she perceives you as grounded, self-directed, emotionally stable, your words carry weight. If she senses you're seeking approval, your compliments feel like currency. You're spending to buy attention. And women are extremely sensitive to value exchange. Let me introduce you to a principle I teach my private clients: emotional asymmetry. The man who is slightly less reactive holds psychological gravity. I'm not telling you to be cold, I'm telling you to be centered. When you give a powerful compliment, don't chase its impact. Don't monitor her reaction. Don't double text to reinforce it. Deliver, hold eye contact, transition naturally. That restraint communicates power, and power, quiet, controlled power, is what fuels fantasy. Because now she isn't just thinking he likes me. She's thinking, why does his approval feel different? That's when you shift from being an option to being an experience. Here's another compliment that works when layered correctly. I feel like there's more to you than you show most people. This one touches mystery. Every woman has parts of herself she doesn't reveal easily: depth, complexity, intensity. When you acknowledge that there's more beneath the surface, you invite her to open layers selectively with you. But again, delivery matters. This is not said with intensity. It's said calmly, curiously, as if you're observing something intriguing, not interrogating. When she feels you sense her depth, she begins wanting to prove it. She wants to show you that hidden side. And when someone wants to reveal themselves to you, emotional intimacy accelerates. Now think about what happens later that night. She replays the moment you said there's more to her. She wonders what you saw. She wonders what you'd think if you knew everything. She wonders how she appears in your eyes. That internal questioning is the beginning of romantic projection. Projection is when someone fills in the unknown parts of you with idealized traits. It's powerful, and it happens when you're composed, observant, and slightly unpredictable. Most men sabotage projection by oversharing too fast. They spill insecurities. They over-explain. They try to secure certainty. Certainty kills intrigue. Mystery feeds imagination. This doesn't mean playing games. It means maintaining your own life, your own rhythm, your own direction. When she feels that you're not orbiting her but inviting her into your orbit, attraction deepens. And here's something critical for men of all ages listening to me. Whether you're 22 or 58, women are not fantasizing about perfection. They're fantasizing about emotional polarity, calm, strength, attentive but not needy, interested but not dependent, warm but not chasing. Your compliments should reflect awareness. Your behavior should reflect stability. When those two align, you create something rare. And rare is unforgettable. You don't need 20 lines. You need precision. One compliment that touches her mind. One that affirms her emotional presence. One that recognizes her uniqueness or depth. Then you step back into your masculine composure. Let her process. Let her feel the echo, because the echo is where fantasy lives. Now, let me tell you what really keeps her awake. It's not the compliment itself, it's the contrast you create in her emotional world. When you say, "I love how your mind works," you separate yourself from men who only scan the surface. When you say you have a calming energy, you associate yourself with emotional safety. When you say you're different, there's more to you than you show, you activate her desire to be understood. But here's the part nobody teaches you. After those moments, you must live like a man who has options, even if you don't flaunt them. Scarcity creates value. Emotional steadiness creates security. The blend of both creates obsession. If you overstay in her digital space, constantly reacting to her stories, replying instantly every time, initiating endlessly, you dilute the emotional spike you created. Fantasy needs oxygen. Women don't fantasize about what's constantly available. They fantasize about what feels meaningful but slightly out of reach. And this is where most men panic. They think consistency means constant presence. No, consistency means predictable character, not predictable access. You can be reliable without being overexposed. You can be warm without being clingy. You can desire her without centering your entire emotional world around her. When you hold your frame after giving those compliments, something interesting happens. She begins to invest. She texts first. Sometimes she reopens conversations. She brings up inside jokes. She references things you said days ago. Why? Because you triggered something unfinished in her mind. The human brain seeks closure. When you combine emotional depth with slight distance, you create an open loop. And open loops demand attention. That attention often turns into imagination. Now let me challenge you in a deeper way. If you use these compliments as manipulation, you will feel hollow, and she will sense it. But if you use them from genuine observation, from a place of grounded masculinity, they amplify who you already are. Women are incredibly intuitive. They feel emotional intent beneath words. If your life is empty and you're using compliments to fill that void, she'll feel the hunger. But if your life is full goals, purpose, friendships, discipline, your compliments feel like a selective reward, not a bargaining chip. That difference is everything. You don't want her fantasizing about you because you chased her. You want her fantasizing about you because you stood out without trying too hard, because you saw her without idolizing her, because you appreciated her without pedestalizing her, because you desired her without needing her. That's the balance. And here's the truth I tell every man I coach. Attraction grows in the space between moments. The glance you held half a second longer, the compliment you delivered calmly, the silence that followed, the life you returned to afterward. When she lies in bed, phone down, lights off, her mind wanders back to emotional contrasts, how you made her feel seen, how you didn't overreact, how your voice sounded steady, how you didn't compete for attention. That's when fantasy becomes attachment, not because you tried to hypnotize her, but because you made her feel rare. Now, I want you to be honest with yourself. When you compliment a woman, are you trying to win her, or are you expressing genuine recognition from a place of strength? Here's the equation I want you to answer in the comments. Do your words reflect confidence, or do they reveal hidden neediness? Be real with yourself. If this opened your eyes, like the video, subscribe for deeper psychological truths, and share this with a friend who keeps chasing attention instead of building presence. Because the man who understands emotional psychology doesn't compete. He resonates.